into Gabby Williams, got hit in the forehead, and it caused 2 black eyes. And you can still see some of the remnants of them, and now she's sporting the bloody lip. She is as tough as they come.
Look, tough.
Lexie Hull walked into the game against the Chicago Sky with 2 black eyes and left with a busted lip, and still managed to drop one of the toughest performances of her career. But what she revealed after the game? That's what's got every fan buzzing right now. Their dominance of Chicago, despite adversity, tells you why Indiana isn't just sneaking into these playoffs. They're rewriting their identity right in front of us. You think that's impressive? Wait until you hear what Lexie Hull said afterward. It might just become the defining quote of the Fever's playoff push. Comment, "Fired up for the Fever," if you're fired up with the win. Let's go!
Bow! That's a W.
Made it out. All you gotta do is keep making it out.
Woo! Dubs!
How do you win when your superstar is sidelined and half your lineup is taped together? That was the question hanging over Indiana the moment Caitlin Clark announced that her season was finished. She went public just days before the end of the regular season, saying in her own words, "I had hoped to share a better update, but I will not be returning to play this season." Clark had been dealing with a stubborn groin injury since the middle of July, an injury that never responded the way either she or the team wanted. For weeks, fans held onto the possibility of her return. When the announcement dropped, the hope fell flat, and Indiana's entire playoff chase had to be rewritten on the fly.
Caitlin Clark released a statement saying this: "I had hoped to share a better update, but I will not be returning to play this season. I spent hours in the gym every day with the singular goal of getting back out there. Disappointed isn't a big enough word to describe how I am feeling. I want to thank everyone who had my back through all the uncertainty. This has been incredibly frustrating, but even in the bad, there is good. The way the fans continue to show up for me and for the Fever brought me so much joy and important perspective. I am so proud of how this team has only gotten stronger through adversity this year. Now it's time to close out the season and claim our spot in the playoffs."
It wasn't just Clark. The Fever have been called snake-bitten all year, and the injury list only reinforced it. Sophie Cunningham was out for the season, Sydney Colson down with a torn ACL. Chloe Bibby's name couldn't be erased from the injury report dealing with her own knee issues, and Aari McDonald also out for a broken foot. That's an entire rotation lost. Imagine preparing for the final push of the regular season with your franchise player, your enforcer, your backup point guard, a key forward, and a veteran presence gone at the same time. Instead of building chemistry, the coaching staff had to play musical chairs with lineups every single game.
At the end of the day, she's been working her butt off to be able to get back, and we've kind of run out of time to be able to do it in a safe way, in a safe manner. And I think we've all been very open and upfront with her long-term health and wellness is the most important thing. To be in a position that you need to be in to play at this time of the year, we just ran out of time to get her there.
Head coach Stephanie White didn't hide her frustration. She admitted openly, "It's frustrating, all the injuries that she's had," referring to Clark's battles this summer. White explained that the groin issue simply ran out of calendar. "We ran out of time to be able to do it in a safe way, in a safe manner," she said, making it clear that Clark's long-term health was more important than risking a rushed return. General Manager Amber Cox echoed that, reminding everyone the focus had to be on preserving Clark's career, not winning a single late-season game. That decision gutted Indiana's depth chart. You take away Clark's and McDonald's playmaking, Cunningham's toughness, Colson's veteran minutes, and Bibby's range, and you suddenly have a roster with no room for slippage. Every possession felt heavier. Every substitution was magnified. And yet, on the sidelines, Clark never looked like a player checked out of the season. She cheered every basket. She rose up off the bench to give high fives. Even when she sat, the TV cameras found her. Eyes sharp, voice cutting through the huddle, staying engaged from start to finish. For fans in Indiana, her leadership was still electric, even when her shoes never touched the floor.
Yeah, I mean it's frustrating. Number one, just all the injuries that she's had. Obviously, I wouldn't speak for her, but and the amount of work that she's put in to position herself to be able to play, and then to have to ultimately make this decision. There's disappointment. There's the obvious frustration that's come with not being healthy really for an entire season. But ultimately, I think the big picture is the most important thing, and those are conversations that we've continued to have. And the message has continued to be that it's not her long-term health and wellness and her being 100% when she's ready to go is the most important thing.
That presence mattered because the playoff picture was brutal. Coming into the week, the Fever clung to 8th place, barely ahead of the Los Angeles Sparks. One stumble, and they risked sliding out altogether. Survivability became the theme. Could this short-handed roster hang on long enough to secure another postseason berth? Could they find ways to compensate for their missing superstar without losing confidence in themselves? It felt less like a basketball problem and more like a test of will. With that uncertainty swirling, the build-up to the Chicago game became its own kind of pressure cooker. Nothing resembled glamour. It was about toughness, execution, and the ability to respond to the situation. And for Indiana, that crucible turned into their launching pad, the very spark that led to their explosive response against the Chicago Sky.
If a newcomer in Bree Hall plays tonight, lost it on a kick out. Mitchell, oh, she's hot to start. Mitchell finds Dantes, who rolls and lays it in.
What does 97-77 mean when you read deeper into it? It means much more than a box score. On paper, it looks like an ordinary 20-point win. But if you follow what's been happening between these two teams, you know the story is a whole lot bigger. Indiana didn't just beat Chicago. They swept them 5 straight times this season by an average of 24 points each game. That's complete control, bordering on humiliation for Chicago. And it's one of those rare cases where a matchup exposes just how far apart two franchises really are right now. You might think a team with that level of dominance would be cruising comfortably through the standings. Not Indiana. Coming into this game, the Fever were sitting on the edge of the playoff bracket in 8th place, only a single game ahead of the Los Angeles Sparks. That's how fragile it was. One loss in this spot, and they'd slip into dangerous territory with the pressure mounting game by game. Instead, they flipped the script, taking all that uncertainty and using it to fuel their most commanding performance at the exact moment they needed it.
Mitchell, will she add to it? Whips it back for Dantes. Kelsey Mitchell putting on a show here in Indy.
Look at the spin on the ball. Just one dribble over the head pad.
Mitchell's been brilliant on a kick out to Howard. Mitchell bouncing. Howard, the left hand.
And then getting a stop on the defensive end. I know Coach Stephanie White is happy with her team with that.
Mitchell being hounded by Atkins, trying to shake her. Mitchell bounces inside, and Howard gets the roll.
Kelsey Mitchell led the charge like she has all year. She put up 20 points and handed out 8 assists, directing the offense with confidence but also proving she could balance scoring with playmaking. This wasn't her just chasing shots. It was her setting the table while still getting buckets whenever the team needed them.
Here in the first half. Oh, it's Howard finding Sims, who finishes tight quarters. Howard backing in on Williams. Little shake and bake. And the fadeaway.
Right behind her was Natasha Howard, who finished with 18 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 steals. She gave them both ends of the floor, an inside scoring presence mixed with the kind of disruptive defense that crushes momentum for the opposition.
7 of them came in the second quarter. Indiana's just been able to hold Chicago at an arm's length here tonight. And Natasha Howard putting together one of her best games of the season.
Missing that little bunny, just the possession before, comes up through the contact, goes straight to her chest. Not a...
Sims finds some space and can't get the roll. Howard charging, tips it, comes down with it, and flips it home.
And it didn't stop there. Indiana got double-figure scoring from 3 more players, showing you just how balanced the attack really was. Odyssey Sims gave them quick-hitting guard play and another reliable option to rotate in the backcourt. Aaliyah Boston, steady as ever, contributed down low and looked comfortable shouldering responsibility without Clark drawing attention away.
She is the team's leading scorer with Angel Reese not available. Hull lobbing inside. Boston spins and finishes. So far in the second half, it's been 1 step forward, 1 step back for the Sky. Boston turns the corner on Cardoso, banks it home, and a foul.
Even Aerial Powers chipped in strong minutes with scoring and energy, keeping the Sky on their heels throughout. That depth, coming at a time when the roster was already thinned out by injuries, showed why this wasn't just a random blowout.
Good hands there by Williams. Petty, Powers, through traffic and is able to finish. Powers going behind the back on Ban, muscles her way to the rim, draws the foul, and flips it home, and 1 Powers.
The stat that tells the real story? 27 assists compared to only 9 turnovers. That's efficiency at its finest, especially when you think about how the Fever have had to reorganize their lineups almost every game. Players aren't hunting for shots. They're moving the ball, trusting each other, and punishing defenses that get caught out of position. Chicago couldn't respond. Time after time, Indiana stretched possession after possession into high-percentage looks, putting the Sky away long before the final buzzer. Why did all this matter more than just adding to the win total? Because this victory didn't just bring a sigh of relief. It gave the Fever control over their own playoff destiny. The sweep meant Chicago was out of the way. Indiana had virtually locked in their playoff berth. And with results breaking right from Seattle and Golden State, the door to 6th was suddenly open. That's not a fluke. That's momentum.
I love watching these players.
Here's Michaela Timpson checking in for her first minutes and banking it home.
So yes, Indiana won the game by 20. But when you step back and see the sweep, the playoff positioning, and the level of balance, it means a whole lot more. The Fever didn't just beat the Sky, they tore them apart in every category, showing that their identity isn't built on one player, it's built on resilience and execution from the entire roster. And at the center of this new identity was one performance that stood out above the rest. Lexie Hull might not have led in points, but her battered and bloody warrior showing became the story everyone walked away talking about. What's tougher, playing with 2 black eyes and a bloody lip, or giving the post-game quote that had Fever fans locking in on her words like they were gospel? That's where Lexie Hull stole the spotlight, in a game that was already about toughness. She entered the night still carrying the marks of a painful collision with Gabby Williams from a week earlier, both eyes darkened by bruises that told their own story. She didn't hide them. She stood there, face bruised, ready to log minutes anyway. And then, as if that wasn't enough, Camila Cardoso caught her across the mouth in the second half and left her with a split lip. Blood and bruises weren't going to stop her, though, because Hull wasn't about to come out of that game.
Powers bouncing, Hull. Oh, had it denied at the rim. Hull looked home free, and I think
that refusal to sit down told you more about who she is than any stat sheet could. When the roster is stripped down by injury after injury, when Caitlin Clark is in street clothes, and when Sophie Cunningham, Chloe Bibby, and Ari McDonald can't even go through warm-ups, you don't win without toughness. Hull lived that message. She didn't ask for sympathy. She strapped her sneakers back on and gave them the kind of minutes that symbolize exactly what this Indiana team has become. Punch back, play hurt, don't retreat.
Let's go, they just got to get into their sets a little bit quicker.
Here's Hull off the Boston screen. She hits, and Indiana is...
I love the way that she's been able to elevate her game.
The youngsters out of South Carolina, who both are having strong seasons, as Indiana has opened up 3 for 3 with Lexie Hull.
And the wild part? This is happening during the best season of her career. She's not a role player just taking up space. Across the board, points, rebounds, steals, assists, she is posting career highs, She already smashed her personal best from beyond the arc by knocking down 50+ threes on the year. That's not luck. That's growth. The step forward season everyone waits to see from a young player. And it's happening at the exact moment the team needs someone to carry more than just numbers.
3 points here tonight at 14 minutes off the bench. Turner gets inside, kick out. Holu buries a three.
Her teammates and her coach see it too. Stephanie White said flat out that Hull epitomizes what the Fever want to be, resilient and fearless. That kind of endorsement doesn't come lightly. It's earned when you play through pain, throw yourself into defensive possessions, and refuse to let a game slip. Ask anyone on that roster and they'll tell you Hull sets a tone. And it's not one night. It has been the consistency of her effort, game after game, that holds the defense together. Because yes, while her shooting has jumped up, her defense is the glue. Indiana's short-handed group needed someone to hound Chicago's guards on the perimeter, to throw off rhythm and slow down their flow. Hull did that. She was in faces, contesting every trip, taking elbows and shots to the body, absorbing it without backing away. When you look at why the Fever's defensive numbers improve with her on the floor, it's obvious. She bothers scorers, she communicates, and she doesn't take plays off.
Steph mentioned, whenever she sees you with the two black eyes, she smiles in a way because it just exemplifies your toughness. Do you feel tough in these kinds of situations with these two black eyes?
I mean, that's what people keep telling me. Every time she sees me, she smiles and then she says, "I'm so sorry." I'm like, you don't need to be sorry. This is what it is. And when I'm playing, like, I forget about it, and then I go and look at the mirror. I'm like, oh shit, he's still there. So yeah, I don't really think too much about it because I don't necessarily feel them all the time.
Yeah, and you're still able to see completely fine.
Yep.
All right.
Nothing's changed.
All right, perfect. I think.
And then came the moment that wrapped everything together. After the win, reporters asked Hull about the black eyes. She smiled through the bruises and said that every day they fight for their injured teammates, embodying the team's warrior spirit. It was her way of saying this. We play for each other, healthy or not, and we take our lumps as proof of that fight. That single moment turned her into the living symbol of where Indiana basketball stands right now. Hull isn't just playing her best year. She's carrying the story of how this team has redefined itself. And the contrast couldn't be sharper because as Indiana built a culture of resilience, their opponent on the other side of the court was unraveling in public.
The resilient, nature of our team. I think one other thing that sometimes goes missed is just the character of these women, right? Especially this group that's been here, that's gone through all of this, and then the ones that we've brought in with O and Che and AP. I mean, these are women who care about winning. These are women who care about one another. These are women who sacrifice every single day.
What does it mean when a team missing 5 players can still control their own playoff destiny? That's the question Indiana answered against Chicago, and the numbers are straightforward. Before tip-off, the Fever were clinging to 8th place, 1 game ahead of Los Angeles. After this blowout win and the Sparks lost to Atlanta, Indiana jumped into 7th and held their ground with authority. Suddenly, it's not about survival at the bottom of the bracket. It's about climbing higher, maybe even to 6th if results keep lining up.
By my rough count, the Fever have beaten the Sky by 12,000 points in their 5 games this season. I'm not perfectly sure on that number, but it seems correct, as they smack the Chicago Sky yet again. Basically, they've already been in a good playoff position, but cement a hold on a playoff spot.
The significance can't be overstated. The sweep of Chicago wasn't just about pride, though that 5-game season domination now stands as the largest point differential in league history between 2 teams. It was about opening the path forward. This win guarantees the Fever's spot in the postseason for the 2nd straight year. Think about that. A franchise that spent nearly a decade buried at the bottom, now staring at back-to-back playoff trips, even without Caitlin Clark leading the charge. Opportunities have also opened because other teams are stumbling. Seattle dropping games they desperately needed, and Golden State having a tough schedule down the stretch. Indiana didn't need to wait for help, but they sure aren't turning it down. Every break counts when the margins are this slim.
Kelsey Mitchell, brilliant once again. Lexie Hull playing through a busted lip after she's played through black eyes, which came from the not on her forehead, which, you know, is sort of exemplifies the Fever season, the way they fought through things. You got all players on crutches and carts before the game. Caitlin Clark, unfortunately, ruled out for the season. It makes you think what could have been, but what is a smacking for the Sky whenever they face them, and a playoff spot almost assured for the Indiana Fever.
And credit where it's due, Stephanie White saw this coming. Her message since July was simple: every game is a playoff game. That approach hardened the group. Players weren't looking at the calendar or the standings. They were showing up nightly with postseason urgency, and it's paying off now in the final week. This playoff berth is more than just entry into the bracket. It's proof this roster isn't a one-player operation. They've built toughness, balance, and trust. That foundation has already solidified into something bigger, a team identity that survives without its superstar. Now imagine layering Caitlin Clark back onto this organization when she's healthy again. Suddenly, what looks like resilience now feels like the first chapter of something far larger.
Get the brooms out! Get the brooms out! I got my dustpan handy. We sweeping up the Chicago Sky. They are toast. They are done. We gonna hold on to our broom for this entire blog. Listen, the Indiana Fever just absolutely smoked the Chicago Sky. What a win. What a win.
Indiana didn't just clinch playoff control with their 97-77 win. They reshaped what this team stands for. This wasn't about one star carrying the load. It was about toughness, depth, and a roster refusing to fold despite missing 5 contributors. Sweeping Chicago by an average margin of 24 points showed a team identity locked in on resilience. And let's be honest, it's even sweeter knowing Angel Reese wasn't available, suspended after tallying her 8th technical foul. If Indiana can dominate while patched together and still poke fun at Chicago's chaos, just imagine what happens once Caitlin Clark rejoins a foundation already built to win. Comment, "Fired up for the Fever," if you're fired up with the win. Like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen, and we will see you in the next one.